Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, let's talk about the Reddit IPO.
I see you're a man of culture. I think you just won the internet, my friend. My good sir.
Reddit has filed for a $6.4 billion IPO on Thursday, the 21st of March, and a huge amount of info has been filed by the company with the SEC about the company's financials, risks, and other crazy statistics like how much stock-based compensation was given to the CEO, Steve Huffman. Hint, it is a lot. And even Ellen Powell, the formerly hated Reddit CEO, has weighed in on the debate of whether Reddit is a buy on IPO day.
When you think about the valuation of Reddit today, what do you think?
I think it's hard. Reddit has always been a strange company.
So today, let's go through all of the information, comparisons with other social media sites, and I'll tell you whether I think Reddit is a buy on IPO date. To understand Reddit as a social media business, you have to understand its users.
Hello. Yes, I am a frequenter of the front page of the internet, guilty as charged. 3 million karma points, so kind of a big deal.
And most of its users, or at least half I would say, hate it, but they use it anyway. And that's not an uncommon sentiment within the social media world. After all, most people hate Facebook and Instagram, but they still use it anyway, and it's the same with Twitter. So I wouldn't take that as a reason for why Reddit is a bad investment. Another issue with Reddit's users as compared to most social media businesses is that their users are very technologically focused and privacy oriented. That means most of them have ad blockers, and it's difficult for Reddit to produce any sort of income stream from them. In addition to that, the majority of the users on the site are anonymous. They don't have accounts, and even more of them don't even post anything. So you can't even sell their data really. It's only a minority of prolific users that post a lot of content for other people to read that is effectively driving the site. With all of these issues around monetization, it's no wonder then that the company has been around for 18 years but not turned a profit in any of them. To be fair, the CEO said that monetization efforts actually didn't start at all until 2018. So only around 5 years of trying to make the company profitable. Many comparisons have been drawn with its social media rival Snapchat, which also hasn't managed to make any kind of a profit in its 13 years of existence, despite having an absolutely massive user base to draw from. Reddit also has a huge user base, with it having over 50 million daily active users and over 800 million monthly active users. We don't have that much information about Reddit's financials as it's been a private company for so long, but what we do know is the last 2 years of financials, as they had to file those with the SEC in order to do the IPO. What we can see from those financials is that Reddit did make some level of progress towards becoming profitable last year in 2023, because it grew its revenues by 20% year on year, and also it managed to cut its losses down from $150 million per year to $90 million per year. But it still remains to be seen whether they can continue that level of growth towards profitability in the future. But Reddit does have a plan towards profitability. The company currently makes the vast majority of its revenue from advertising to its users, but that can be quite hindered by the fact that most people don't have accounts or people using ad blockers. Its other method is a little more sinister or interesting depending on your perspective. They're planning to use data licensing contracts with other companies to sell user data and conversations. They've agreed a contract with Google for around $60 million per year to sell its users' data and conversations to Google in order to train its chatbots, its AI LLMs, and so on. So if you've noticed any kind of improvement in Google Bard or Gemini over the last few months, then that's probably why. 60 million per year represents around 8% of Reddit's 2023 revenues, so it's a significant amount. There's nearly 20 billion posts on Reddit, so there's a lot of data for AI companies to use. And other companies like Stack Overflow and Tumblr are also getting in on the action as well. But now the FTC has intervened and they've launched an investigation into Reddit as to whether this deal is fair and proper towards its users. And it will be really interesting to see the result of that, as if the deal is scuppered, then it could mean Reddit's stock price will tank significantly. In order to facilitate the creation of Reddit's data licensing income stream, the company had to get rid of its free APIs. Those free APIs allowed third-party companies to produce custom applications and apps for users who hated or didn't like Reddit's natively built one. Obviously, this went down terribly with users who really liked these third-party applications, and also it went terribly down with Reddit's team of moderators who are unpaid, and it led to one of the biggest ever backlashes against the company from its user base against its leadership in years. Now, this actually highlights one of the main weaknesses of Reddit's business model. Unlike other social media companies like Meta, which pays millions to moderator staff, often in developing countries to reduce fees, Reddit pretty much relies on an unpaid team of moderators to ensure that illegal content does not go onto their site. Now, that caused huge issues when the backlash towards Reddit's API changes happened. Many of these moderators refused to work anymore. They locked their subreddits, which prevented users from being able to go on them and generally decreased the user experience massively. Reddit did manage to crack down on dissent, ban moderators who were responsible, and in general just get the whole situation under control. But it did take a huge amount of effort and left a bad taste in the mouths of many in the Reddit community. This really goes to show the power that the unpaid moderators have. Because they aren't paid, they have a lot more independence than employed staff at Facebook, for example. Many of these moderators actually use this power in a way that is pretty distasteful to many. They often try to control the narrative in certain subreddits by banning people they don't like or dissenting opinions, and in general make the user experience much, much worse.
And the people in charge of Reddit is a powerful clique of Reddit mods and admins. I mean, in 2020, it was revealed that just 6 of these Reddit mods control 118 of the top 500 subreddits. These are the people who determine what posts are allowed, what comments you can type, what posts are deleted, and what opinions can flourish.
There are many memes online about these power-hungry individuals who are willing to take these unpaid moderation roles online, but I'll leave you to judge whether they're right or wrong.
You wouldn't last 3 minutes on some of the subreddits that I happen to manage. They're all NSFW, and they're all full of real girls.
A lot of people worry that if Reddit's unpaid moderators were just to leave the site, then the site would basically be taken down. So there's really no value within it. And they're right in some ways. Reddit has around 60,000 moderators on its site. And were they to pay them, let's say, a minimum wage of around $20,000 each, which is probably a little bit of an overestimate, that would add up to being $1.2 billion per year. That's compared to Reddit's 2023 revenue of $800 million. So were they to actually pay their moderators, it would basically bankrupt the site. But I don't personally believe that their moderators will leave. There's never going to be a shortage of power-hungry people who will bite at the chance to have control over the narrative and other people. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Other concerns that investors might have about the Reddit IPO is that some of these power users and moderators have been offered shares in advance of the IPO at a discount to what it will probably sell out at the IPO. That means they could sell them for a big profit on the heads of the investors who buy in on the day. In addition to that, many of the staff at Reddit have been compensated extremely well for a company that makes the kind of revenue it does. Steve Huffman, the CEO of Reddit, was given nearly $200 million in stock and stock options for Reddit, so that he was incentivized to basically improve the company's performance. The COO of Reddit, Jennifer Wong, was also given $45 million in stock options in 2023 as well. When you compare that to other companies, that's absolutely ridiculous. Satya Nadella of Microsoft, one of the business's best CEOs currently, was only given $50 million in 2023, despite having revenues which are hundreds of times higher than Reddit's. Reddit currently has around 1.2 billion in cash and is losing $90 million per year, so it's not really in any desperate need of cash, so an IPO is most likely more for enriching insiders rather than a company desperately trying to raise cash in order to continue operations. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but eyebrows will be raised when stock-based compensation awards are that high for insiders. Reddit doesn't have any profits currently, so we can't use the price to earnings ratio metric at all, but we can use the price to sales metric. So let's compare Reddit to some other popular social media companies in the price to sales metric to see if Reddit is overvalued or undervalued, a rough approximation. Reddit currently sits at around a 8 price to sales ratio, and rivals like Meta, which by the way is extremely profitable, sits at a 9 price to sales ratio. So that does seem a little bit of an overestimate to me. When you look at Snapchat, which has similar levels of profit or rather losses to Reddit, is sitting at a 4 price to sales ratio. So I personally think that would be more appropriate for Reddit. It does seem to me that it's in a very similar situation to Snapchat, where it has a huge user base and little profitability. So personally, I would avoid the Reddit IPO at all costs, but you never know, I could be completely wrong. Often IPOs are marked by extreme hype because there's limited numbers of shares on sale that actually get put up for sale. It means that if there's a lot of buyers, it can really drive the price of a stock upwards. We've seen it in countless IPOs before. People that buy at those kind of crazy highs though often don't end up making a profit for years afterwards. So personally, Reddit is definitely not within my style of investing. Let me know if you guys are planning to buy in, what you think of Reddit as a company. Please leave me a like and subscribe if you've made it this far, and I'll see you guys next time.